Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Elevated Beauty Podcast. I'm your host, Emily Fouts, and today is a special episode. I have a guest speaker today, Amanda Gavarny, with IamHeartHigh. She is a spiritual life coach, a Reiki master, among many other things, and I'm so excited to have her speak today. I know this is usually, this is off topic from what I usually post, but I think this portion of the wellness industry can still be relevant to estheticians and also just helpful for anyone else that listens. It might be something foreign to you, but I feel like when you open your mind and you allow yourself to learn new things, it can be beneficial. I have definitely, practiced wellness in a different way over the last few years, and I'm excited to learn some new things and some new practices that Amanda knows more about than I do, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you guys. So if you're interested, then keep on listening. All right, you guys, so I have Amanda here, owner of Heart High. She's on Instagram as, it's IamHeartHigh, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And I'm totally going to screw it up, so why don't you tell me, who you are, what you do, what your title is?
Sure. So, Emily, thank you so much for having me on, first and foremost. My name is Amanda Gavarny, and I am the owner and founder of Heart High. It's a spiritual life coaching and intuitive healing company. So it's kind of a wellness umbrella. And so that's what I do. Spiritual life coaching is, a lot of people don't know what that is. So it's for everyone, first of all. Its purpose is to shift your being into a state of peace and calm. So the purpose is really to get yourself to kind of calm down, because most of us live in our mental space, which is kind of where the chatter happens. And the goal of life coaching in this way is to kind of calm that portion down, let that step back, and encourage your spirit to step forward, because we're really spirits in human bodies. Mm-hmm. So what we do is I help you to see that every experience in your life has a reason and a purpose, and that pain is mandatory, but suffering is optional. So it's kind of just to remember that you're perfect, and you've always been perfect, and you're a creator. So you can create whatever you want out of life. And that's kind of what my purpose in my life is, to assist other people in remembering these things.
So I feel like separating it from a traditional life coach, it's much more obviously spiritual, but very much having to do with mindfulness too. Would you say that's is that correct, or?
Absolutely, because what we, assist people in is releasing. There's ways to release through release letters, essential oils, crystals. So again, there's different ways, that's kind of, I guess, the spiritual part is, being open to prayer, being open to, positive affirmations, just that there's ways of healing that might be not what you traditionally thought. So, life coaching is all about healing and releasing and living your best life and creating your best life. And doing this, I assist other people in discovering these modalities. That's really what they are. They're modalities that will assist your being in healing and processing stuff.
Do you think a lot of the people that do invest in your business and seek out your coaching are already enlightened individuals, or do you think they're trying to start their journey of enlightenment? Because I think we talked about it before that I'm from the South, I'm from Louisiana, and a lot of people there aren't really in an enlightened state. And so a lot of what you offer and just like wellness in general is very foreign to a lot of people. So does just like everybody from all paths of life seek you out, or are they on this like enlightened path?
That's a great question. And I think that it's twofold, meaning most of the people that have come so far are people that are not necessarily proclaimed to be on some sort of spiritual path, so to speak. But there's another handful of people that are, and that are just confused because there's a lot of things out there. I'm going to use the word metaphysical shops out there. Those would be somewhere where, maybe you grew up and you would see a shop that had crystals and herbs, and you didn't really know what it was, but it's kind of cool, and you kind of wanted to dip your toe in the water, and see what it was about. But growing up, there was really no information that was provided. So the twist here is, I'm not just saying, hey, go use a crystal or essential oil, but I'm explaining what that actually can do to assist the body. So it's more informational. It's less woo-woo than people think, because that's also a word that people like to use. But then the people that are, considering themselves, spiritual already, it's good because it helps a little bit to, break barriers of certain, in other ways, maybe of faith or prayer or, daily gratitude, simple things like that. So, they might have they might know a little bit more, think that they know. When I started this journey, everybody thinks that they know everything, right? Mm-hmm. And then you start to kind of peel back more layers and more layers and more layers, and you realize, there's so much more to really learn and observe and be a part of. So it's pretty cool to see that happening.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know, recently, I guess within the past 5 years, I'm like the type of person that I always want to keep learning, because, I don't know, I've experienced, like you said, some, people might think you know everything, and that's where you get stuck. So I just like never want to stop learning, and I've always been really interested in this portion of the wellness industry. And over the past year, or probably maybe 2 years, I would say, I've been getting a lot more into mindfulness and actually practices that encourage me to be in a positive state and a gratuitous state.
That's excellent.
So with that being said, like, what are some of your favorite practices to exercise mindfulness?
So before I say that, you mentioned something really interesting and cool, mm-hmm. but you said, you didn't want to stop learning or growing. So what that says to me is that you realize that life is a process within a process within a process. So it's not a quick fix. Most people think, let me go to the doctor, put a Band-Aid on it, take some medicine, it'll go away. Listen, that there is a time and a place for that, totally. However, there's a lot of things physically that have to do with your emotions. And by dealing with your emotions and also alternatively treating them, you can work with Eastern and Western medicine together to really heal your body. You can heal your body. We're designed to heal. People have just since forgotten that. So to that point, I mentioned before release letters. As a life coach, I assist people in releasing things, starting from, it might seem trivial, but starting with your childhood, with parental things, and then moving up through maybe releasing relationships or death experiences, or it could be anything. It could be your boss. You could have had a shit day and your boss, pissed you off. So I'll help you write that release letter to your boss. But the idea is to really, instead of calling that person and, bad mouthing them or, saying some hurtful things to that person that annoyed you, you're going to write it and you're going to channel it, because something happens when you have that thought and it transfers down your arm into the pen or the keyboard. And then you have this letter, you read it out loud. There's a good chance you might cry, emotions could come up, and then you burn it and you release the ashes into the wind. And there is something about that helps to just make it a little bit lighter. So that's a huge tool. I kind of look at this as like the spiritual toolbox, right? So release letters, essential oils. There's some amazing essential oils that do various things and can absolutely assist in wellness altogether. So, I mean, I can elaborate on that at another time. Tapping, something Brad Yates is great. You can Google that.
Is that like an anxiety thing where like people tap to like reground themselves on their
kind of exactly? Like I find tapping works when like you're really in a panic or having a major anxiety attack and you need to calm down quick. So there's select points on the face and the head and the collarbone area that you just tap. And again, if you Google Brad Yates, there's some videos online and you can just kind of follow along. And then ultimately, you don't need to do that, but you realize then where the points are so you can start tapping when you're feeling, stressed out. So again, these are all things to help your spirit, to help your being when you're, when you're crazy, when you're stressed, this is the world that we live in. People are afraid. People are living in fear. People are depressed. People are leaving this planet every day. So these are ways to shift yourself out of that state. Crystals are great. I know I mentioned it before. They really are. I mean, I can't say enough. I have a lot of crystals in my house.
I'm so interested in crystals. So I have a theory, but I'll ask you that in a second. But I want to like something that you said. You said like all those practices are like shifting you out of a state. And I think it's so important for people to have these helpful tips because a lot of people don't know how to shift themselves out of it. And that's when you go to alcoholism or these different coping mechanisms that are harmful to you. So why not allow yourself to have helpful coping mechanisms?
Absolutely. And that's exactly it. And listen, all of us have come from different places and spaces. And, we are who we are now because of the experiences that we have lived both personally and, within our family and friends' life. And that's, coming to you today, I am who I am because of all of the tools and all the work that I continue to do on myself and with myself. And it's a never-ending process, but you just have to be willing to take that step. A lot of people will make excuses. And, again, it's that phrase, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So it's the same thing here. You have to be ready. And when you're ready, when something happens and you're just like, man, I do not need to live like this anymore. Something snaps or shifts in your, in your mental and your spirit. And it's like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. So, for myself, I'm a single parent and I went through a terrible divorce and I made all of these excuses about, I can't see a therapist because of this, that, and the other. Anyway, I finally decided no more excuses. And I found someone that was online that we would FaceTime. And I started to not make excuses. And you just spit it in. I would put the kids to bed and I'd jump on a call with this person that I was working with at the time. And she was wonderful. And funny enough, I found her through a podcast.
That's funny.
you just never know. But I mean, since COVID, the beauty of therapy in any sort is that you can do it from anywhere. So a lot of the work that I do is, we use a program called DoxyMe and that's, it's kind of like a WebMD type of thing. And, you go on, you FaceTime with clients and it's no excuses. You can fit it in any time. Mm-hmm. And that's the cool thing. So, sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you're fine.
completely divert. But the point is that if you're ready, if you know that you're tired of living the way that you're living, it's up to you to make that shift, and only you. Nobody else can assist your being other than yourself.
Yeah, and I think something that I feel like relates to that is I don't know if you've heard of this figure of speech or metaphor. Like, okay, so there's this family, and then there's two siblings. They're raised by the same mom and dad. They have the same upbringing. One turns out as a product of their parents, and the other one, lives the total opposite life. So it all has to do with like what you choose to do with the environment that you were in. You can choose to overcome it and build from it, or you can choose to be like a product of it, So as long as you're willing, you definitely can change and improve and be better and live the life that you want.
Absolutely. And you hit it on the head. I mean, we are, sorry, I got all fired up. we were raised in a society that tried to put us all in a box. They tried, you go to school and it's like, okay, this is what you need to wear, and this is how you need to look, and this is what's, you're following what everybody's supposed to do. And I will raise my hand because I was one of those people too. I was a good kid. I went to school. I did my thing. I went to college. I graduated from college. I got married. I got divorced. I got married again. I had kids. I got divorced. I mean, I tried to live this, the picture perfect life that you see in the Hallmark movies, right? You see this like picket fence and a house and, family, kids, pet. And that's what at least for me, that's what I thought I was supposed to do. And that's what I thought happiness, quote unquote, looked like. And as I did all those things, I realized that is not me. And, and as I continued to shift and grow and work on myself, these things kind of started to come out. So you start to realize you don't have to be fit into this box that, you're meant to be this spirit living on the outside of this box. And my sister and I are very different people. We come from two, same parents, but she's living that life, never been divorced, has my niece and husband, and they just got a dog. And again, I think it's wonderful. That's great. I love that for my family, but my life just looks different. And that life for me was not the life that worked, so I just needed to see what made me happy. And that's the whole point, is there is no right or wrong. That's a farce. It's you, and you just have to find what makes you happy and live that way.
So is it safe to say, I don't know, this just popped in my head, like, I feel like spiritual life coaching or enlightenment leads you to living your best authentic life.
Yes, ma'am.
I feel like that's kind of like what you were saying, and like where that's led you. Now you're living your best authentic life as a result of being in an enlightened state.
I believe so. And I don't really use that word enlightened state, but I would use the word, I'm living at a higher vibrational state. That's kind of how we talk about things. Things can be high vibrational or low vibrational. And, people that are operating at a low vibration are possibly making choices that are not in the best interest of that person.
That makes sense.
But as a high vibrational, living more high vibrationally, the goal is to have your spirit in balance. So you're a fourfold being. So you have your body, mind, spirit, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. Sorry, kind of said that backward. And under that umbrella, there's things through each of those four that, as a life coach, I assist people in understanding and balancing. So you want to balance your being. And when you're in balance, you have less of a wobble. So you have less of a, you're teetering. You're not teetering. That's where you're living your most authentic self. And that's a lot of the stuff, to go back to the earlier conversation. some of the things that I was mentioning, the release oils, tapping, the essential oils. I'll list a few more. You're going to laugh, but sex is one thing because that is a way to release. So people don't really talk about that a lot, but that is a method of relaxation and release, and it feels good. So that's important to do, especially if you're in a healthy, consenting relationship. Mm-hmm. And other things are sound healing, exercise. It's important to walk at least 10,000 steps a day. Gratitude lists, multivitamins, having a juice. That's something that I'm pretty religious about. I make a juice that's a blend with just fruits and vegetables and purified water. And
I just started juicing, so I'm going to have to get some recipes from you.
Sure. Yeah, we could definitely chat more, but those are the types of things quickly, that can get your being into balance. So again, you just really, that's so important to have the balance. And when you have that balance, you are living your best life, I do believe. And things are less blocked in that regard.
Perfect. I love the way that you explain that. And I try to, with the little knowledge that I have on it, I just, try to preach positivity and mindfulness and practicing gratitude to get yourself in an abundance mindset, like when I'm speaking to other estheticians. And I feel like just practicing those things have made it's been life-changing for me. It really has. Mm-hmm. So on every full moon, I've just always been enamored by the moon. I'm not like a witch or anything, but it's beautiful. And so it happens once a month. And so every full moon I go out and I look at it and I say thank you to the universe and thank you to God. Cause that's just, I'm a Christian. So, I say thank you and I'm grateful for this life and I'm grateful for these things that I have. And I think outwardly expressing that gratitude has, been beneficial for me.
Absolutely. And that's beneficial for everybody, no matter what you believe, as long as you believe that there's something, whatever you want to call source, God, the universe, but as long as you're showing gratitude constantly and you're doing it out loud too. I know it seems silly, but it is important to, say that out loud. The I am mantras, there's a little book that I have, it's awesome, by Elliot Eli Jackson, called the I Am Mantras, and they're great. And I read them out loud in the book, which is a little longer, but the main ones I love to just do in the car with the kids on the way to school or camp or wherever we're going, and they all get into it and they repeat that.
Oh, I love that.
I am perfect. I am love. I am creator. I am present. I am hope. I am positive. Those are just some, but we'll say them in the car and it just gives us all a boost. And sometimes I need it too, because I'll say to the kids, let's just do some I am mantras real quick. And they'll start spitting them out. So
I think that's amazing that you're teaching your kids to verbalize these things, because when I was a kid, I was not, emotions were not verbalized to me. And so as an adult, it's very hard for me to verbalize my emotions and verbalize my feelings. So even saying out loud, I can write it down, but saying out loud, those things are hard for me. I need to dive more into figuring out why that is. But, yeah, I love that you're doing that with your kids at the age that they are now.
And and to that point, I do feel very blessed to be able to have this information now to share with them. And again, my parents did a great job raising me, but they could only do what they could do. That's any of one of our family members. They only could operate at the vibration that they were at with the information that they had, right? So they were raised by their parents who knew certain things, and then they thought that what they were, teaching us was the way.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the way that they knew. They didn't know any other way. They couldn't be any other way. So, to be so, I'll use the word in the best possible way, but to be so unique and different in the best way from them, definitely caused some understanding, and we all get along, but it's been a little tough, through the years to try and make them see, okay, well, these choices and decisions are what work for me.
Right.
And, you might not understand them and you might not, necessarily approve of those things, but this is my life, right? This is who I am, and this is Amanda Gavarny's life, and I can do what I choose. I think people need to hear that because, I definitely will also raise my hand that I am a people pleaser. I'm trying to work on not being a people pleaser, but that goes with my family. It's like I wanted to please them. I wanted to be this person I thought they wanted me to be. And as soon as I realized I have to be who I need to be,
yeah,
that's when the shift happened.
Yeah, we're taught things, and at no fault of our own, we can choose to learn to shed that or not. But that's you're cognizant of it, though.
Well, now.
Yeah.
But things are constantly, and again, when you're on this journey, when your eyes are open, your heart's open, your spirit's open, you start to see things. You start to realize, that there's everything's happening, for you, not to you. Things are happening for you. People need to understand that, It's a beautiful thing when you realize that shift too, that life is happening for you.
Mm-hmm. I'll have to remember that, that phrase and repeat it to myself. So can we talk about crystals for a second?
Sure.
Okay. So this is my theory on crystals. I just, I don't know a lot about them. So, I feel like, so there's power in crystals. Some people believe, of course. And, I kind of feel, from what I know, I feel like the power in the crystal, or is my theory at least, is what's the word I'm looking for you? Like the intention that you're setting with it. Like you believe this crystal does this, and so it does it because you believe it does. Or how do you feel about crystals, and what do you know about crystals?
Well, first of all, you're very intuitive. You don't. I said that too when I first met you. You have a knowing about you. Everyone is intuitive, but you definitely have a knowing about you. And with that said, that's a very accurate statement. So most of the time, whatever you need, you personally, your spirit will be drawn to that crystal. So, here's an example. Even if you don't believe it for yourself, let a child go into a crystal shop and pick out whatever crystal they want on the table, right? That crystal is going to be the crystal they need. And then oftentimes when you read what the properties of that crystal are, they coincide with something that's going on. I've done this test before with my own children, and it's the coolest thing. But I might not know exactly what the properties of every crystal is because there are many.
Right.
But I'll go to something I need. Like for this call, I'm holding a piece of onyx. It's kind of calming. It's grounding. It was on my desk, and I just grabbed it to kind of just calm myself down and center myself. So I've been kind of just holding it the whole time we've been chatting right now. So that's a great example of just taking something that you feel like you may need and sitting with it. And oftentimes, depending on my mood or what's happening in my life, I'll pick up a different crystal and keep that with me. And then there's some protection stones as well that are good to carry on your body at all times. So again, there's just so many different things that can assist you. And crystals are, again, people are just drawn to them. They don't know why. So I love to be able to kind of take it a step further. And again, even if I don't know what the crystal is, I have every book on encyclopedias of crystals. We'll figure it out together. But I would just say, that is correct. You're going towards what you need, and whatever energy that crystal is, is giving off, is the energy you need. That's the simplest way to say it.
Nice. So what is, do you know much about opal? Like if there are any properties with opal that you're aware of?
Yeah. me think here. Opal properties.
I got a ring when I was a teenager, and then I've always had some piece of jewelry that had opal in it. But when I was a teenager, I don't know where I saw this, that it like protects blonde-headed people, and I was like,
oh, that's so funny. I think that, I mean, again, you know, everything does something different, but it enhances and encourages freedom and independence. So I think that that's something that could be why you were drawn to it. So,
oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always been very independent, and my mom said that my husband and my daughter, she takes that after me. She's extremely independent.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I think that could be it, you know, so you never know. But again, that could shift, and you could start to like a different stone and be more drawn to that stone. You just don't know, you know?
Right. So, kind of like, so do you incorporate stones with your Reiki practices?
I actually do. Yeah. Not a ton, but I do have some crystals that I will sometimes use during Reiki sessions, as well as essential oils, just depending on the situation and the person. But yeah, crystals are great to use during Reiki. And again, every session is so different that sometimes I use them and sometimes I don't.
Yeah, just depending on like what the person needs, right?
Yeah, but they can never hurt. I'll just say that. So if it's in my remembrance, I most likely will use crystals during a Reiki session.
So can you tell me?
You do not have to.
Right. Can you tell me like more about Reiki? I know like the gist of it, but what is it useful for, and you know, however you want to explain Reiki to people that may not know what it is.
Sure. So it's an ancient Japanese technique for relaxation that promotes healing by balancing and harmonizing the body, mind, and spirit. So how this is done is through the laying of hands on the different chakras or energy centers in the body. So most likely a practitioner, you know, you lay down on a massage table, and I start by laying my hands, you know, and there's other smaller chakras. So you have 7 main chakras down the center of the body, but then there's some other chakras as well. So I will start to work down the body and lay my hands on the various chakras and energy centers. And as I go through the body, sometimes I feel things come up. Sometimes I get visions of certain things, all of which I'll share, you know, with the person upon being done. Oftentimes too, you know, some people will tell you why they're coming in for a session. Other people won't. So it depends on, you know, how much information I know or don't know. But I like it kind of when I don't know, because it kind of, I don't want to say test me, but you know, like I'm able to pick up certain things, and they're like, oh yeah, that's where, you know, such and such is going on. So it's interesting to see if I can pick certain things up too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you go down the body, you're laying on your back at this point. And again, depending on how long the Reiki session is, you might just stay on your back, or they may flip you over. And then again, there's kind of some points on the back that, will be hit as well. But when you're done, the person getting the session normally feels very relaxed, refreshed. Again, releasing could happen. I have never had anybody like release emotionally in a session, but I have had the opposite happen where I've gotten emotional. So that can happen too. So it's really just moving energy through the body. As a Reiki master or person that practices, we ask to become a channel for spirit. So my body is a vessel for this energy coming in and assisting the person's body that I'm working on.
And so going into like chakras, are the chakras like pressure points?
Not quite. They're the main energy centers in the body. So, and they're all, you know, each chakra governs different areas of physical and emotional wellness. I'll say that. And then they start with the root. So your root chakra, it's the color of the rainbow. So it starts at the base at the root, which is red, and then it continues up. So it goes red, orange, yellow, green, blue. And then the crown chakra, which kind of hovers above the head, is sometimes white or a violet kind of color.
That makes sense. And I know a little bit about the main ones. I know there's one behind your groin. That would be like a sexual one, obviously. Like, if you're sexually aroused, that's going to be an area of energy, there. Maybe if you're like, and you can like correct me or affirm this, like, maybe if you have anxiety, you're going to feel that in your throat. And then like, if you're feeling despair or something, it could be in your chest. I don't know. Like, is that kind of correct with like those different feelings happening in those different areas of your body?
Yeah, I mean, you're close. But yes, I mean, nothing that you said was right or wrong. It was all good. Everything that you said was good. But there are different things associated. So I would say more, let's use the throat, for instance. So let's say, you're having a hard time speaking your truth, or, you're trying to say something and it's just not either being heard, or, something's going on. So whether it's, emotional or physically happening to you, your throat chakra could be blocked. And that's when you want to work on opening that up. So the other day I just did a video and I talked about your solar plexus and opening that up. So ways that you can open up blocked areas are imagining in meditation, which is, we didn't really talk about, but is a really amazing and life-changing thing to add to everyone's day. But in meditation, you could think about whatever chakra is blocked opening up like a beautiful flower. So if it was the throat, I would imagine, the color blue and the throat chakra just opening up like a beautiful flower and allowing my voice to kind of be heard, and, just kind of think about it like that. And, if you're really stuck, that's when going to seek a practitioner of these things would be helpful. So a Reiki practitioner, or anybody that does energy work, tuning forks, Reiki, I don't know, there's lots of things, access consciousness bars, like there's just there's so many different modalities. But I will just say this to everyone listening, the one bit of information I will say is that if you decide to use a practitioner for energy work, you are very intuitive as yourself, as a being. So if you have a not good feeling about that person, I would just walk out the door. No harm, no foul. But anybody that's practicing energy services should be of the love and light. So if you do not feel love and light coming from that person's very being, then I don't think that it would be smart to have that service. That would be my only word to the wise.
Yeah. Yeah, but Reiki is interesting to me, I guess, because it's one of those things that I'm always trying to forever learn, and it's a little foreign to me, so I definitely want to try that.
Absolutely, you should. It just feels, like I said, it feels very relaxing and good, and any energy work is really cool. We're doing an event. I know, obviously, I live in Arizona, but I'm assisting on an event that's happening in New Jersey in a few weeks, and aura photography is something that's going to be happening there. And why I'm bringing this up is because aura photography reads your aura and also shows your chakras and if they're out of whack or imbalance or whatever. And we were showing what the aura looks like before you do a service. So let's just say, taking a normal picture as you are right now, and then taking a picture after some sort of energy work that's been done. So, again, we're just talking about Reiki. There's lots of modalities here, but I'm going to continue with Reiki. So after the Reiki session, you take another picture and you can see such a different aura around your being. So it's extremely healing. And again, there's so many now scientific things that have been proven about what we're talking about now. So, what used to be as kind of like, oh, that's a little weird or whatever outside the box. Now people are, there's scientific proof that this stuff works, that this is a real deal. So I just think that's really cool now to have some sort of other proof, other than just our word.
Absolutely. So the aura photography, is that just a normal camera? Just taking
No, it's a special, the person that's coming for the event travels from Florida. There's other people that do it across the country. I've had it done before. It's just really cool to see. And most people that will read your photograph will give you a little insight. So you can get like just a photo with a little bit of information on what your aura looks like versus like a very comprehensive report. But yeah, it's more involved than just the photo.
So I've seen a little bit about auras, and like some people can see people's auras, and different auras, like colors, mean different things. Do you mind sharing what your aura is? What color your aura is?
Well, it changes. That's
it does?
the thing. Yeah. So depending on what's going on in your life right now, your aura can change. You have, believe it or not, 32 layers to your aura. So it expands the size of a football field.
Oh, wow.
If you could believe that is exactly what your human aura is. So again, it's what we can't see that freaks people out. And the aura is the energy that surrounds our being. So you're correct in saying some people can see other people's auras, even with their own, with their own eyes. I can't necessarily do that, but when I am around people that are of a high vibration at times, or in certain spiritual settings, I have seen like a glow, I'll say, around their body, with my eyes.
I wish I could. That'd be so cool. I can feel, but I can't. I can't see an aura emanating from anyone.
You'd be surprised, because, like I said, sometimes it's just sometimes it's just like you're staring at that person, and you're just like, wow, like that person, is exuding energy, and people see that even from you. They don't necessarily know what they're seeing, but when someone beelines to talk to you, or someone needs you to work on them from an esthetician, standpoint, they somehow need your touch, your spirit, something about you they're drawn to. And that's each one of us as an individual. Some people just need to hear the sound of your voice, or be in the same room, or, be in your presence. Sometimes you don't even have to work on that person, but they just really like being around you. And that's the energy that people can feel, that people can sense that.
Awesome. So did we touch everything that it is that Heart High offers? You do the spiritual life coaching, you're a Reiki master. Oh, you do the tuning forks. Real quick, what are the tuning forks helpful for?
So the tuning forks it's a sound modality. So it's it's funny, I just talked about this yesterday. So there's a doctor, Dr. Emoto, who did these experiments with water, and it was super cool because it shows what happens when you speak to yourself in a positive way, and how sound affects water. So if your body's made up over 60% of water, sound is affecting the water. So that could be sound that you speak. It could be sound that you hear. And tuning forks, just like crystal singing bowls, affect different layers and chakras, and they do similar things to Reiki. So it's using sound to calm down and clear out the chakras. So I do very similar things, but with the tuning fork. So with Reiki, I'm putting my hands on you. With tuning forks, I'm using the tuning fork, and I'm making the sound of the tuning fork over each chakra and kind of going down the body that way. There's different types of tuning forks. There's weighted, there's non-weighted. They both have different sound frequencies, and each of those sound frequencies resonate with your body in different regards. So it's on a cellular level, like healing yourself, in that way. So it's, again, everybody that I've ever done sessions on has fallen asleep. So again, I think it's very relaxing. It seems like it's just a very calming, relaxing thing to do. So yeah.
I mean, it's no secret that humans, even animals too, respond to sound. Like, we go to sleep to soothing sounds, or certain music makes us feel a certain way. So I like that. I've never, had it done before, but.
Yeah, and I mean, and to your point about sounds, there's binaural beats, different sound frequencies, again, you might not really know what they're doing because they're playing in the background, but they're affecting your body on a level that, you don't understand, but it's affecting, it's affecting change. It's promoting healing, and it's just really great to do. So you can Google stuff like that too, and just have that on in the background.
Nice. Well, we're nearing the end of the hour for our call. Do you feel like, I feel like we covered a good bit of stuff. I feel like it's all been really helpful.
I could keep talking, but next time we'll come in on a specific topic and talk a little bit more about those. But yeah, there's so many things to discuss. But just to wrap up, again, spiritual life coaching is for everybody and anybody, children, adults. And, again, it's just to promote this level of peace and calm within your spirit, and just getting everything to calm down. And just know that, you're just having a human experience, and all is well, so you can live your best life. You do not have to be stuck. You do not have to live in the darkness. You can do this. Anybody can do this. But I will say it takes work. So if you're ready to make a change in your life in any sort of way, shape or form, you just have to be able to want and know that it's time and you're ready to do the work, and that it's not a quick fix, and it's going to be a continuation. And this is the life that I have chosen to lead. And again, my experiences have made me who I am, and I know it works because I have healed myself and continue to work on my healing as we speak. So it's a never-ending process, but I practice what I preach, and I hope that, if anybody has any questions, they can reach me through my website at IamHeartHigh.com, and that's HIGH.com. And again, follow me on Instagram, Facebook. I'm on all those things. I'm sure Emily will post that stuff. But yeah, any questions, you could always email me. I'm happy to answer anybody's questions.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. And of course, we'll be in touch. Amanda's such a sweet and warm person. If you guys choose to correspond with her, or, seek out her services, I definitely don't think that you'll regret it. And I hope that this has been, maybe you learned something new today. So yeah, thanks, Amanda.
Thanks, Emily.
As always, thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll see you next Monday at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time for another episode.